buenos días a todos. A nombre de CANIEM y del Foro de la Innovación Editorial 2025, les doy la más cordial bienvenida a la tercera sesión de dicho foro, Liderazgo Joven en la Industria Editorial. Yo soy Ana María Bermúdez, editora en Penguin Random House y presidenta del Comité Jóvenes CANIEM. Y hoy tengo el honor de dirigir esta sesión con Meike Knops, CEO global de MetaBooks, quien nos compartirá su visión sobre la innovación y el cambio y el rol que tiene el liderazgo joven en la transformación de nuestra industria. Agradecemos el apoyo de Edelweiss, Inkit, Librántida, Make, MetaBooks, Skilo y Zebralution, patrocinadores del FIE 2025, por hacer esta charla posible. La sesión empezará con una presentación donde Meike nos compartirá sus aprendizajes y lecciones derivadas de su trayectoria para convertirse en CEO de un grupo editorial tan relevante para la industria. Posteriormente, tendremos una breve conversación para ahondar en algunos temas relacionados con el liderazgo joven. Por último, habrá espacio para algunas preguntas y respuestas. Al final de la sesión les compartiremos una encuesta de opinión que ojalá nos puedan ayudar a responder. Como Maika no habla español y nosotros tampoco alemán, la charla será en inglés. Como recomendación, pueden activar los subtítulos automáticos al dar clic en el botón CC que está en la parte inferior de su pantalla de Zoom. Activen la traducción automática y escojan el idioma en que quieren que aparezcan los subtítulos. Ahora cambiamos al inglés. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of CANIEM and the 2025 Editorial Innovation Forum, I am delighted to welcome you to this third session, Young Leadership in the Publishing Industry. I am Ana María Bermúdez, publisher at Penguin Random House and president of the Youth Committee at CANIEM. Today, I have the honor of hosting this session with Meike Knops, Global CEO of MetaBooks, who will share her vision on innovation, cultural change, and the role of leadership in the publishing world. We would like to extend our thanks to the sponsors of this year's edition, Edelweiss, Inkit, Librántida, Make, MetaBooks, Skilo, and Zebralution. Before we begin, here are some housekeeping details. First of all, the talk would be in English. You can activate the automatic subtitles in Zoom by clicking the CC button at the bottom of your screen, activate the automatic translation, and select the language you prefer. The session will begin with a short presentation where Meike will share her learnings and lessons from her journey to becoming CEO. Afterwards, we will have a brief conversation to delve into some topics related to young leadership. There will be a Q&A session at the end, so please type your questions in English in the chat. At the end of the session, we will share a feedback survey. We kindly ask you to participate and share your thoughts. This session is being recorded and you will be able to access it later on the FIE's YouTube channel. Now, it is my honor to introduce our distinguished speaker. Meike Knops is a 35-year-old leader in the publishing industry. Her career began with internships at IBM, where she gained valuable experience in consulting and sales. She then moved to EY as a consultant, specializing in tax advisory. Meike further honed her skills at PricewaterhouseCoopers, working on organizational system and process projects during company transactions. Her journey in the publishing world started at Holtzbrink Publishing Group, where she held various roles, including project management and assistant to the group CFO. She later became CFO of Kiepenheuer and Wischt, a renowned German publishing house, and subsequently became the editorial director and COO, CFO of Fischer Sauerländer, a German children's publisher. Meike currently serves as CEO of MVB MetaBooks since 2024. And without further ado, I am pleased to hand over the floor to her. Welcome, Meike.
Thank you, Anna, for the introduction. And yeah, good morning to everyone. I mean, for me, it's a little bit later, but for you, good morning. I'm really happy to be here and share my experience and my thoughts. And of course, I'm really looking forward having a discussion with you and having your thoughts about young leadership. I need a moment to share my presentation. And this presentation is just I mean, this topic is so big and we could speak for hours, but I want to give you just a short introduction with this presentation. Good. Young leadership is our topic for today, and I will move forward because I want to start with you to do a little reality check. Because if we are doing or talking about young leadership, it's more or less talking about diversity and inclusion, right? Because it's so close connected. And yeah, let's do a reality check. Because if we are talking about diversity and inclusion, then we see here an example, Volkswagen, that's, I guess, well known in your country as well. So this company is saying on the German website, diversity and inclusion is one of our 7 group principles. And they say also this commitment to diversity and inclusion forms a central foundation for the economic success of our company. Wow, what a statement, right? But if we are looking now into Volkswagen and the organization, we see pictures like this. If my screen wants to show you the picture. Okay, that's great, but let me check. Why isn't that working? You see my mouse, I guess, but it's not going forward. See. Okay, that was a long time. But you see pictures like this, right? This is a supervisory committee of Volkswagen. And what we see here is a lot of men and one woman at least. But what we see also that the woman is dressed like the other man, right? And this is also a sign, you know, what we should and can recognize here. And this is telling a story. If we are looking now into future and innovation, I mean, future, it's normal then to talk to young people, right? Because they are the future and maybe, yeah, creating new ideas, innovation is so close to connected. But then we should talk to young people, right? And let's see to the German, let's have a closer look to the German answer about that. You see here the participants of the German government's Innovation Summit. And what we see here is men, white men. And what we also see, yeah, 2 women. And I mean, we have a lot of thoughts to this picture, but you see there are only 2 women and you see where they are placed, right? And this is also like, yeah, look, we have women in our summit, but beginning of, okay, that are only 2. That's the first thing. And the other thing is, why do they are placed like this? There's no reason for that, right? Because they are also part of the group and not have to be in front, beside, or like being the side by side from the group of men. And now coming back to the young leadership, because we are talking not about men and women today, we are talking about generations, right? And so I want to because the pictures I showed you before, that is nothing new, right? We all know the pictures, and there are a lot more examples that I can show you, but we also have a generational conflict. And let's talk a little bit about this, because, and now my mouse, here we are. If we have a closer look, and the New Economics Foundation did a little research, and the result of that was that the young people are moving more and more to the left. We are talking about open society. We are talking about LGBTQIA+. We are talking about other lifestyles. We are talking about being open, being flexible, and all that. But at the same time, we are seeing that older generations are moving to the right. they are getting more and more conservative to social and political views. And why is this? The key word of that is inside the statement, because I think it is just a little bit overwhelming for them as well, right? And if we are getting now to another example, we see that's a German one again, but I hope you can follow, and maybe you have quite similar things in Mexico. The point here is that there is an expression or a phrase in Germany that's called the old white man, right? And people making more or less a little bit fun out of it. We have, for example, here 2 books written from women, Sophie Passmann, Nina Brockhaus, Franka Lehfeld, both very good books. And the name of the books is Old White Man. We also have a movie in Germany that's called Old White Man, right? And this movie is making jokes of this old white man being part of a patchwork family and being surrounded by a lot of diverse people. What is happening with these people, with the old white man, right? And of course, it's funny to watch, but you know, this is sometimes reality. And what we should have in mind if we are talking about leadership and becoming a leader, a young leader, then we see that there can be this kind of reaction. And I don't have to tell you much about that. You just have to look at this picture. This is Thomas Gottschalk. Thomas Gottschalk is very, very famous in Germany. He had a very, very long time a TV Saturday evening show. He was a moderator and he is very well known. And he stepped back from the TV show a few months ago with the words on air saying, you know, I'm not able to find the right words in the current society. I'm not very sure-footed anymore, and so I step back. And what he is saying, that he feels like a victim of change, right? And that is a reaction. And I don't want to feel pity for him, yeah. But the point is that there is this reaction in society if we are talking about generational conflict. So, I mean, of course, Thomas Gottschalk is an extreme example. But if we are coming back to this, then we should have in mind that this is maybe also an attitude that the people in leading position have as a problem, right? And so that's part of becoming a young leader. The next point is, if we are talking about that, and I want to share some experience with you. I mean, of course, the first question is maybe part why I'm here today, but the rest of the questions are questions that are related with job interviews, with people talking about me, what I heard from others and all that. And you see, they ask, may I ask you, you are so young and already a CEO? Can that be, right? Can it be really? 35? Is she really able to do that job with this age? Is it really possible? And in comparison to more experienced person, why should we hire you, right? Why should we hire you? And I feel like, okay, let's turn the world upside down. And my question is, if I would be on a job interview with an old white man, are there this question also to the old white man? Is he still able to do the job? Isn't he a little bit old to be a CEO, right? Maybe in comparison to more energetic persons because of age, why should we hire you, right? Others questioned what these people hear. I don't know, but I would say no. And I can tell you what I answered to the last question. So, in comparison to more experienced persons, why should we hire you? And I said, of course, experience is important and it's a key, but it's not the only key. Because the point is, we are talking not about the past, what we experience from the past, we are talking about the future, right? To understand where society is going, what is happening in the world, how it's changing, and how can we react to it, and how can we develop our organizations, our companies, and all that. So being an innovative leader has to be like a big experience from the past. So my way of becoming a CEO, I mean, I don't want to repeat what Anna was saying before, but maybe some things that you see here. You see that I often moved on, right? That I have a lot of companies in here, and that was the case because every time I felt like, okay, this position is getting me any further, or my boss is maybe not supporting me like I would like to have him, right? Or other things. Then I said, okay, let's do change, right? And this is one of the biggest learning I had, because of course change is hard. It is not the easy way, but it is important, and it's important to grow. And the other thing is that you see here, I have been with the Holzbring Publishing Group for 7 years, and I had 3 different positions. 3 different positions in 7 years? Okay. But if we have a closer look, then we see that the CFO position at Kiepenheuer & Witsch, the German publishing house, was only 1 year. And if people are looking into my way, they say, hey, what was happening there, right? One year, and she was already leaving. What was happening, right? And I will come back to this point later, because I don't want to be an old white man, but I like to share some learnings from my way. And maybe we can break them into five pieces, right? And the first point that was always helpful for me is empathy. That means to understand the person you are talking to. And that means also, no matter what level in hierarchy this person is, treat the cleaning person the same way that you would treat your shareholder. Why not, right? And the most important thing about empathy is understanding the needs of this person, and so that you can react on the need and find a way to maybe get the point that you would like the person to give you, right? But always be on an empathy side, right? It's for me, it's one key learning, and I know that a lot of people really like that about me, and so it's a nice feedback that I got. The next point is development, and that means self-development. That means also speak to people, ask for mentoring, ask for feedback, and not only your boss, do it with your colleagues, and ask about and learn about your strengths and your weaknesses. And of course, learn from other leaders, learn from other colleagues, all that, what you like about them, what you didn't like about them. And it's not about the point to copy that, what you see, but to find your own way and learn who you are as a leader or as a person. Because one key to be a successful leader for me is to be an authentic and real person. The third point here is self-confidence. The point is, know what you are capable of, right? And know also where your boundaries are. I mean, the point is, and I give you an example. If there is a job posting, it is said that in Germany, at least, from the German society and behavior and habits and all that, if there's a job posting and 80% of this job posting is matching to a profile of a man, the man is saying, hey, let's do that because I'm a match, 80%, it's perfect for me, right? And if we are then looking again to a woman, and we can translate it to younger and older leaders as well, we are looking at women, they say, you know, I'm only there 80%. So I'm missing 20% of the job. So maybe I'm not really able to do that job, right? Because 20% are missing. And that's a different attitude and it's a different behavior. And I'm pretty sure that we can translate it into young leadership as well, because the point about experience is, of course, it is an important situation, but the other point is being authentic and real and know what you are capable of and know your boundaries. It's also a very, very big point, on your young leadership, list. Another point is that you should willing to invest for the job, right? I mean, you should know what topics you are interested in, but if we are talking about young leadership, it always means that it is a high time investment. And that should be also well known, because not everybody is maybe able or willing to invest this time. And the point is that self-confidence also means not always saying yes to everything. It's about having a real opinion. So 2 more to go. And that's maybe the most important here, opportunities. And, when I'm talking to people, they ask me, you always wanted to be a CEO. And it's like I'm the first person in my family that studied at all, right? And I could never have imagined being a CEO. I mean, I learned about the C-level positions as I joined IBM. I never heard about that before, right? And I never had this big plan in mind, becoming CEO of MVB or anything. It was more about seeing and taking opportunities and trying to find your way and take it. Maybe one example, and coming back to 1 year Kiepenheuer and Witsch, the German publishers. I used to work for Hilsbrink for the group CFO, and I did a lot of strategy projects, and it was really an interesting job. And then the CFO of Kiepenheuer and Witsch went pregnant and went on maternity leave. And they asked me, would you like to do that job for 1 year, limited, of course, because then she's coming back? And I said, let me think about it. And of course, there was a thought in me that said, that is really a risk, right? What happens with you after that year? Is there an opportunity for you to get another job? What is with your current position? I mean, it's 1 year, right? It's not, the people are not able to make it available for you maybe after 1 year for you coming back. And are you okay with coming back after 1 year of being a CFO and then going back in the old position, right? And I said, okay, it's worth the risk and I take it and I want to do that, and I took the opportunity. And maybe this 1 year at Kiepenheuer and Witsch was the most important year of my career, because what was happening? The year I joined Kiepenheuer and Witsch was 2020, February 2020. And I was 1 month on the job, and then COVID knocked on the door. And I can describe this year as a hell of a year. I can say that. But it was such a great and big learning for me. And my boss told me after the year, he said, Meike, I put you in this new position, and I was really, really okay with that. But if I had known that COVID was coming, then I had never put you in this situation, right? But for me, it was the opportunity to show what I'm capable of. And so it was a very, very big opportunity. I mean, maybe it's also a little bit luck with it, right? Because it went out really, really well. But it was an opportunity I took, and I had a really big risk from my point of view. And the other thing that's close to connected to opportunity is the change moment, that I talked about before. And the only thing I can say is change has been always growth for me. And the thing is, if you're thinking about your career, then it's your responsibility, because nobody is able to to decide for you, and so it's on you to decide and to take your way of what you like to become. And the last point is passion. And that's maybe not the smallest point, but maybe the shortest here, because of course you have to like what you do, because I said it before, it's a high time investment. If you are you want to be a young leader, of course there are maybe learnings that you have to do in comparison to another experienced leader, right? But it's not impossible. And if you are willing to do that, I'm pretty sure, and you like what you do, then it's also fun, right? And you do it not like a job. You're doing it more like a passion. And the only sentence what is in mind about passion for me is, do what you like, but in the end, like what you do. And that's maybe the end for this presentation, and I will hand over to Anna.
Thank you so much, Meike, for your insightful presentation. I am really astonished by just hearing what you're saying. But now I would like to start the conversation with some questions on the challenges of generational diversity and how did you manage them? First,
okay, I will stop sharing, right? So it's maybe easier for all of us.
Yep.
Chris, I think we don't need the presentation anymore. Okay.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah.
So, what benefits have you observed from this generational diversity, and how have you addressed unconscious biases?
I mean, that's a really large question because I feel like this are more two questions than one, and maybe starting with the general, generational diversity, because the point is that is also a learning from a study, I guess, that heterogeneous teams achieve better results than homogeneous teams, right? And so it's not that we should fight the generational conflict or the diversity. It's more about learning from each other, sitting at one desk, listening to each other, and having the different perspectives. And I mean, if we are talking, for example, about a new business idea, of course, and it's really, really interesting to have these different views on this idea, right? I mean, maybe it's a problem of the Germans, but what you should be careful of is that people in Germany are often talking about the negative challenges and all that. And if we are talking, for example, about new business ideas, then you should be aware that everybody is sharing what is a challenge with that, what cannot work, and all that. So what I'm trying in this situation is to learn from the different perspectives, but also having a solution-oriented discussion, so that we are saying, okay, yes, that's a challenge, but let's talk about how we can solve it and how we can face it and address it, right? That's maybe a part of diversity in an organization across generations. And the other point is unconscious bias. I mean, everybody was raised in a special way, right? And it's more about, it's not like you address it once and then it's done. It's more about learning what is your unconscious bias. And like in every situation, maybe not in every, but in the most important situation, ask yourself, if you're hiring a new person, is there unconscious bias that is influencing you, right? And the first step here is to be aware of it, right? And that's the first step, because we are always saying, yeah, I'm so open-minded, it's always fine. I mean, I don't care what people of color, age, where people come from. I don't care at all. But we have these aspects from us raising, right? And this is influencing us. And the only thing I can say about unconscious bias is that it's not a one-time effect. You should always be aware that you have it and face it in different situations.
Yeah, that's sorry, that's definitely a big challenge for everyone, I guess.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and now moving to more, you started addressing this, but moving to innovation and the industry tools, how do you balance respect for previous experience with the need to innovate and implement change?
Yeah. I mean, I talked about that before, that having the different perspective is really important, right? And but what is reality? The reality is sometimes that people are saying, we have always done it this way, or we have tried it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and it didn't work. So why should we try this again, right? And I mean, I can just say, listen to the people, but also giving maybe also younger people the room to create something new, right? And it's also a point about, for example, bigger innovations, bigger organizations, that they are often, because there are so many people and so many people from different perspectives, backgrounds, and all that, that it's sometimes very hard to do innovation in this organization, right? Because there's always a person who is saying, "Oh, that's maybe not worth to try because it's really, it's really risky, right? Why should we try this?" And for me, it's just maybe sometimes it's also the way of separating teams and giving them room to explore, to try and fail also, because if we are talking about innovation, it's not only about being successful with a new idea, it's also about fail, right?
Yeah, I think you said a key word here, just creating the room. So there's this space for innovation, but also for young leaders. And this takes me to the next question, which is what role do young leaders play in driving innovative initiatives or key tools for the industry?
Maybe that's also very close connected to what I was saying before, because giving room is one thing. And if maybe I can give you a German example again, because in Germany we have a lot of organizations and companies that are very old, has a big structure, a complicated and complex structure, and so innovation is sometimes hard to find. And we have some examples in the German market, speaking about new imprints at publishing houses, speaking about new business models at all for publishing houses, where younger people are separated from these bigger organizations, giving them room and let them explore, right? That's maybe the same point that I said before, but it's maybe the key to have the opportunity to learn from the younger people and give them the opportunity to share their thoughts with you. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I would like to remind you all that if you want to ask some questions to Meike, please write them in the chat. But before that, and more questions now on the challenges of young leaders. Do you think young leadership carries a different kind of responsibility when facing today's challenges, and why?
I mean, the question is, what do you think about today's challenges? I mean, if we are talking about sustainability or political things, of course, you can say that younger people should have a more intrinsic motivation to work on that, because they are living, if everything is going okay, longer than people that are older, right? But on the same time, if we are talking about leadership, I would say that all leaders have the same responsibility, because if you are a leader, then your job is make future happen, right? And I mean, part of it will be that we care about sustainability, that we care about society and how this is moving forward and changing and all that. So I would say, yes, of course, the younger generations have a responsibility for that. But on the other hand, if we are talking about leadership, then from my point of view, everybody who is doing or is a leader is responsible to face the challenges that we have now in our world.
Yes, sure. I think those are some concepts that get mixed in the day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And what do you think the publishing industry still doesn't fully understand about young leadership? That's a tough one.
I mean, talking to me, right? It's I guess it's maybe the point we talked about that earlier also about talent versus experience, right? That it's sometimes so experience focused that we forget that if there are ideas or minds in our environment that have a big talent, we should give them the room to be there. And it's also the case for young leadership, because it's also I mean, if we are talking about like young leadership, and if I'm comparing myself with other leaders, then of course there is a difference in leadership style, because I'm a more participative leadership person. And I mean, we are coming often from an organization who has a very hierarchical a hierarchy in it, right? And the persons are reporting to another person, and then there is the decision on the highest level and all that. And what I'm doing in my day-to-day business is connecting the people, empower them and give them room that they also do their decision in a way that they are possible of course, right? Because sometimes it is necessary to do the decision by your own, because maybe there's a conflict in the organization or between different departments or whatever, or the risk is too high that another leader is not able or willing to take it. Then of course it's my job to do that, right? And to decide and help more to get to the best decision that we have, because I'm not the best person in everything that we are doing. I mean, take me to the development center, I will be like helpless, right? It's like but it's not my job to do the development of a system or whatever, right? But I have to empower the people who are doing that. Yeah. And maybe that's a point that's often not really fully understand by others. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the people first approach is sometimes the easiest way or the most obvious, but also the hardest one for.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, now to wrap up this conversation, one last question. If you could give a piece of advice to a young person who aspires to reach a leadership role in publishing, what would it be?
I mean, of course, it depends on the organization and on the people around of the company and all that. But maybe it is a sentence that I said before, that do what you like and like what you do. Because if you are spending time in your job and you're trying to achieve a leadership role, then it is time consuming. And it should be fun for you to have this position. And in this position, and that's the second part, like that you should like what you do, means that it is always about being with people that are great with you, right? And supporting you and seeing your talent. And that's maybe a second thing that you should think about if you are trying to achieve a leadership position. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this. This is really valuable for us. And now we have some time to answer a couple of questions from the audience. We already have 3 questions in the chat. So the first one from Enrique Callejas. Hello, Meike. Do you know how many editors are young versus older in Germany? And what is the percentage of young people and women in your company and the tendency in Germany?
Wow. Okay. Let's start. I mean, how many editors are young versus older in Germany? I mean, the question is, how do you define young and how do you define old, right? I mean, I would say that maybe stepping back from this question, because the point is, it's not about age, it's about behavior, it's about habits, it's about attitude, right? And so I wouldn't say, I mean, I don't have numbers, right? Because I don't have the separation between young and old on the editor's level. But I would say that in the German publishing industry, it is also attractive to young people to join the publishing industry and becoming an editor. So we have the opportunity to get younger editors. The question is if you have the capacity in your organization to hire them all, right? But the potential is there. Sometimes it is a challenge from the German publishing industry that editors are getting older and older and older, but not leaving the company, for example. And that is, of course, okay, right? Because if they are okay, then why should they leave, right? But on the other hand, it's they are taking opportunities on the other hand for younger people to grow into this position, right? And that's not something that I would say, please, older people leave the company. It's more about this is the reality, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid we experienced the same situation in Mexico.
Yeah.
Probably it's about the industry.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, the next question is from Cesar Augusto Tirado, and he says, what would it be like to promote a new proposal in a previous work environment and a little closed to change?
Okay, I have to read it again. What would it be like to promote a new proposal in a previous work environment and a little close to change? Okay, maybe that person can explain what he or she means about that. Is it okay to
César,
give a
si
short
quieres abrir
explanation?
tu micrófono y nos cuentas. Bueno, si no, César, nos puedes poner en el chat si quieres tu pregunta, o explicarla un poco más y entonces la comentamos aquí con Maika.
Or Anna, do you know what the question means? Maybe I'm just too slow for that.
Maybe we can wait for César to clarify.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be great. Here. Here we
Okay,
go.
¿cómo sería hacer una nueva propuesta en un ambiente laboral anterior y un poco cerrado al cambio? So how would be to promote a new proposal in a so in a like the previous or in the past, like how was to propose something
maybe that's
new
the
in
point
the
about
past.
Arizel that she is explaining to me. Okay, I think, okay, now I get it. Sorry. Okay. Yes, I mean, that is often the case, that you are joining a company and seeing that there are old structures and old processes and old habits and attitudes and all that. And I mean, that's maybe an advantage that I have coming from the consultant business and looking on an organization with a different and high level view, right? And what I often start is first, of course, understand why they are doing what they do, in what way they ever do it, right? And the next point is to ask questions. And why are you doing it? And maybe is there an opportunity to create or amend the current situation and all that? Because of course it is sometimes a challenge as a leader, for example, coming into a new company, seeing these old structures, and then they say, you know, we have done it all the time this way, and what are we talking about, and why should we rethink something, right? And so it is a challenge, but what I experience is that if you're trying to talk to people and start the discussion, what we can achieve if we maybe change something, that is often a good way to go forward. The maybe not so good way from my experience is coming to an organization and saying, you know, you should do it this way, because then the people are like overwhelmed with your ideas. It's maybe a little bit Thomas Gottschalk we talked before, because sitting back and saying, I'm a victim here, right? Because she's not seeing what I'm doing so good since years. And it's a people business. And if you're trying to drive innovation and empower innovation, then you have to work with people, try to change their habits, their attitudes, and help them with processes and the organizational structure to achieve these goals. I hope it is matching and answering your question. I'm not sure, but I tried it.
Yeah, I believe you did. Thank you so much. And the last question in the chat, I mean, if someone wants to make another question, feel free to do it right now. So the last one is from Aritzel Sarasua, and she says, any recommendation for young leaders to manage those comments about your incapacity in a job position based on a preference in experience and age? And thanks for this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I faced it. I mean, let's talk about MVB, for example, because I came to MVB and Ronald Schild was the person who was in charge for the CEO position before. He was 18 with MVB. That's a very, very long time, right? And of course, he was a completely different person. And it was not only the team who was looking at me and saying, okay, let's see what this woman is capable of. It was also the surroundings, the shareholders and parts of, for example, of the supervisory board. And they were looking at me and saying, let's see. And what I have done is not to think too much about that comments and this critical view on me coming or becoming a CEO. What I have done is do the work, right? And focus on what I want to achieve and what is best for the organization. And I can tell you, I know that there are at least 2 or 3 persons that were not really my biggest fans in the beginning. And we matched our attitudes and our relationship on a very work basis, right? As they have seen, okay, she is moving something and she is maybe bringing new ideas to the organization, she is rethinking something, then they changed it and they said, hey, you see, it is very, very great having you here. And it's not about that Ronald did a bad job. Sometimes it's just to have a new face, new ideas, new thoughts about the organization, right? And today they are I can tell maybe happy about about me, yeah. But yeah, that was an interesting thing, and I just can say try to convince them if you're just doing your work, because if you're trying to convince on another level of relationship, of course you should be with empathy and polite and all that, that's for sure, right? But sometimes it's just good to give them results. Yeah.
Thank you, Meike. I always think that attitudes are the hardest part of of the job.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Well, there are no more questions in the chat. If someone wants to have the last chance, this is the time. And if not, well, then we will wrap up the session. So if you are free, if you want to make the questions or ask the questions, do it right now. But well, so let's wrap it here.
One more.
One more. As another one from Enrique Callejas. Could you talk a little bit of German Germany industry? German
The
industry?
German publishing industry, you mean? Or German industry at all? Publishing, perfect. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I worked for a publishing house for 7 years. I have some experience, and of course, now with MVB, we are still close connected to the publishing industry. And the question is, what are you interested in? I mean, I guess we have a very similar structure to the Mexican publishing industry, but in some parts maybe different. And what is happening now in our industry, and that's maybe also an interesting point talking about young leadership, is and that you have also, I guess, in Mexico, but you know the details better than me, so you can tell me. There was a new thing coming and rising. It was growing digital versus print. Yeah, it's fine. Growing industry, and we are talking about new kind of books, and we are talking about, for example, I give you an example. It's dark romance, right? And the publishing houses, it was really funny, because publishing houses were like, wow, dark romance, it's not for us, right? Because we are a very established company, and we have high quality texts and all that, and dark romance, it's not our thing. Today, and it's not maybe only dark romance, it's also new adult and young adult and all these different ages. But now it's not only the children's publishers that are facing or focusing on young adult and new adult, that the adult publishing houses saw, oh, that's an area to grow, right? And let's move to that. And the interesting part, and that's maybe an interesting detail for you from another publishing industry, is that because of the adult publishing houses moving into the new adult and young adult publishing business, the prices for the text were like increasing, right? And it's still the case. And so it's yeah, really interesting, and it's a very big thing in Germany. We're talking about Frankfurt Book Fair, where one of the different venues is just reserved for the young adult and new adult publishers, and yeah, having all the people coming to the Frankfurt Book Fair to meet the authors, and it's really a big thing in Germany. And talking about digital versus printed, I mean, we have had a lot of discussions when the ebooks were created, and they said, the printed book will be done in a few years, and it will be all digital and all that. And it's not the case at all. The digital percentage of the revenue of one title is really, I mean, maybe in some cases, because it differs from the kind of title you publish, of course, but in some cases is less than 10%, right? It's crazy, right? And on the other hand, the printed version is becoming more and more important and also connected to the new adult and young adult business, because in Germany we now have these books that are like art, right? It's crazy. They are printed. Oh, I miss the English word now. So that you have, if you have a book, wait, I have one here, that you have a printed version of this side of the book. The cover is just with gold and glitter and all that. It's crazy, right? And so if we are talking digital versus printed, then I would say printed is the most dominant in the market in the moment. And yeah. On the other hand, audiobooks is a big thing in Germany, and that's maybe another digital product that is rising.
Well, thank you so much, Meike, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. And thank you, everyone who attended and participated in the discussion. We hope you find it informative and inspiring. Before we close, please complete the feedback survey through the link provided in the chat. And please join us for the next session of the CANIEM Editorial Innovation Forum, Accesibilidad en los Libros Digitales by Edgar Valencia on August 14. And you will receive the registration link through email. Also, please visit the forum's YouTube channel where you can find all these sessions. And once again, we extend our gratitude to our sponsors, Edelweiss, Synkit, Librantida, Makemake, MetaBooks, Kilo, and Sevolution. Thank you again, Meike, for your time and this valuable session with you. And so this concludes our session. Have a great day.
Maybe see you in Guadalajara then. Bye bye.